Welcome to the Speaking of Math podcast, episode number 8 by Door to Math. This podcast is devoted to all things math education and how parents can be a positive factor in their kids' math learning. Math is the gateway to many professional careers as well as confidence and personal growth. Find out more information at www.doortomath2.com.
So today is episode number 8. As you can tell, this is Phoenix Pan. I'm the half of the Dr. Pan Rukovich. My husband, Eugene, just did the intro, and he's the other half of Dr. Rukovich. So together, we're Dr. Pan Rukoviches.
Funny. So together, we have 2 kids, and there's some things that we did with kids that maybe help them with math, maybe not. We have a disagreement, so we'll just air it out right on the air. When our daughter was in 6th grade, one day she came home with a bad grade on her math test.
If I remember, it was an F.
It was an F. So my first reaction is, oh, poor honey, we'll get it better, don't worry about it. But Phoenix did something different. What'd you do?
Okay, so this has been a funny family story for a while. Our daughter is a freshman majoring biomedical engineering in WashU, Washington University in St. Louis. Yay, WashU fans out there. The first response when I saw the F, I knew my response is what she's going to remember when it comes to math, what failure is all about. So the first thing is I took a breath. I don't know if she saw I took a breath or not. Hopefully I did very solidly. And the next thing I know that my calmness is going to transfer to her. This is probably not a hero's journey per se. The reason I only knew what to do is because by then I had been teaching almost 10 years. I've saw what didn't work or what worked before. So when it comes to my own kids, I knew my calmness is what she's going to remember. And next thing I did was taking her out for ice cream, vanilla ice cream, if I remember correctly. It was Haagen-Dazs, as a matter of fact. Maybe a strawberry. I don't know, but detail is not important. What was important is that I had only one goal and one goal only, and that was failure is to be expected, and failure is fun, and failure is something needs to be rewarded.
Okay, so recently actually there was a math study that says parents' math anxiety can undermine children's math achievement. So this event happened, 10 years ago, and this study came out just recently, maybe within the last year. So sounds like you knew something intuitively from your experience teaching other kids and working with parents that the academics came up with a year ago.
I remember the reaction you had on your face, though. That was pretty funny. To your credit, you didn't argue. We, as a family, got into our beat-up minivan, and we went to the local grocery store 5 minutes down the road, and we got Haagen-Dazs.
And obviously something worked, because after that, she didn't come home with bad grades. So what is it exactly about taking her to ice cream or rewarding a bad grade, which is counterintuitive, you reward good grades, don't you, that helped in this case, or we believe that helped?
Well, I have an idea. Why don't we hear what your point of view, which is I think a lot of parents can identify. Why on earth would you reward a bad grade? What was going through your mind when Alexa came home with a bad grade?
Okay, well, as an engineer and not necessarily knowing how to work with kids, it always has been with me that I get a good grade. Okay, so you get rewarded, you get some sort of cash or taken to ice cream. Get a bad grade, it ranges from you got to do better next time. You're not going to get into college with those grades, or you're not going to get a scholarship with those grades, to okay, you'll do better next time, but see the anxiety on the parents' faces. So, but never ever have I seen a case where, okay, you did bad, now you get rewarded for it. So that's what was new to me about it.
I think the thing, what I heard is the word reward. It might come across as we were rewarding bad grade, but I think from a child perspective, again, I'm putting myself in my daughter's shoes. I probably did something bad. I got an F. Am I going to get in trouble? And where do I go from here? So my intuition is that if you have a child, and if you're looking from a child perspective, is what now? That question is what's important. If I'm giving you an analogy, it's a poor choice, but let's try it on. If we were to climb a mountain and you get onto the top of the mountain, you get a little reward, and then you see there's more mountains around you. So psychologically, for a kid, it's very overwhelming. That's why rewarding a good grade is, you might not realize this, but I think for a kid it's actually overwhelming. The unspoken question in a child's mind, I believe, is like, how do I keep this up? Because eventually math is going to get hard enough. On the flip side, if we as adults, when we are handed this opportunity, coming home with a bad grade, the child brings a bad grade, we can contribute so much more. So back to our analogy of climbing the mountain. If you fall down and injure your ankle a little bit, what do I do? How do I treat that injury? Can I get up tomorrow again to keep on climbing? I think that continuity of keep on climbing in the long term is so much more important than whichever peak you were able to scale.
Okay, that reminds me of another story or another thing that happened to our daughter when she was actually a toddler. So all the parenting books that we read said if they fall, you can't just be concerned. You have to show it's normal. Maybe laugh or do something that the child doesn't start crying. And I remember you doing that a lot of times. And also when you were teaching her how to ride a bike, you taught her how to fall first. So is that just a continuation of that? Teach a child how to fall in math?
Oh, completely. I think the only difference looking back is that we as a parent, if we don't feel comfortable with math, that anxiety shows through our actions. None of us, very few of us, ever doubt our kids can walk. And for the kids who are out there who worked so hard to walk, I sympathize and really feel for the parents out there. But vast majority of us never question our kids can walk. So when it comes to math, our own feeling about math can cross, and that impeding us from doing what naturally we as parents do. When our kids fall down, when they learn to walk, none of us ever go, oh my God, here comes falling. We always say, oh, that's part of learning. Eventually, you're going to walk on your 2 feet.
Okay, so your kid comes home with a bad grade on math. They're upset. Give me 3 steps that mom or dad can do.
I think number 1, center yourself, because right then there, it's a golden, shining parenting moment, and you can contribute so much to the child. Center yourself. Number 2 is check your own feelings about math, your own experience, your own failure, triumph, or whatever at the door. Focus on your kid. And the third one is somehow, even if you have to take out for ice cream or whatever it is you have to do, that's your child's favorite activity, get that in there first, and then pass on the lesson that failure is part of learning and growth. If I remember one of the episodes, we talked about the interview we watched, Sarah Blakely
Spanx? Yeah.
Spanx, yeah. Spanx?
I think it's Spanx.
So one of the interview questions that really stuck with me, for those of you who don't know her, she's the first self-made billionaire, young, under 40, I believe. Anyway, she counted her success to her dad, always asked, so Sarah, what did you fail today? So from very early on, Sarah know that failure, enough of failure, eventually gets you that muscle, and journey is going to be rewarding.
Okay, so in the startup world, in the entrepreneur world, failure is considered as a badge of honor. Is that where you can start to have kids accept failure as a part of life?
I believe so. I think that our school, just in general, we as a society, so much driven by the performance. Performance is actually the cart. The horse is actually the resilience, the curiosity, the creativity. So we, as a parent, I believe, this is just my opinion, if you protect the horse, the cart will always follow. The performance, the accolades will follow. But if you don't protect the horse itself, eventually the horse is going to stop moving.
Okay. So if you approach this correctly, a failed experiment or a failed experience is just as valuable, if not valuable, as a successful experience for a child.
Oh, totally. I think failure is when actually child has an opening to learn. And we as a parent, if we do our job and focus on those precious moments, I think that's really rewarding.
What if the child keeps coming back with bad grades? You can't take him out for ice cream each time, can you?
I don't know. I ask the kid, what do you need from me at the moment? I don't think you are performing it to your potential. What can I do? I think that's a healthier dialogue than be anxious, number one. I don't think our listener there would belittle our kids. And if we take our own frustration and fear and pass it on, that would not be fair for the kid because they are blank canvas, right? So we're hoping we do better for our next generation than we had ourselves.
So you reward your child for success, you reward your child for failure. At what point do you need to take your child aside and say, no, this is not okay?
I believe each kid, this is just my opinion, again, being a mom, I believe fundamentally all kids want to impress us, wants to do good. I always strive to find a way to tap into that. That's not to say it's been hunky-dory smooth journey, as there are up and downs and there are nights I cry over, am I doing enough for my own kids? But end of the day, I fundamentally believe that if we check our ego on the door when we talk to our kids and ask them to help us to help them, that's much a healthier relationship. Not to say I could always follow my own advice, but that's what I strive for.
All right, so at some point, say you get 3 or 4 bad grades in a row, and there may be other signs of math struggle, that your child is struggling in math and ice cream is not gonna do the job. How do you know when that point is that your child is struggling in math, they need some sort of extra help that they're not getting right now?
That's a good one. I think when the switching point, what I see at work is when the child internalize external performance into sentences like I'm just bad at math or I'm too dumb to do this, then all of a sudden it's math is okay, I'm not okay. That's the line where I would go seek professional some sort of help, either from the teacher or counselor or math mentors, coaches, tutors, whatever it is that you think within your grasp. I would, that's the switching point for me.
So when I'm not okay, when the kid starts internalizing it, that's when you go outside.
Yes.
All right, so what we learned in this is that when a child comes home with a bad grade, it is a valuable learning experience only if the parent takes it and goes with it. So there's 3 steps for a parent that a parent can do. First is manage your own anxiety, then focus on the child, take them somewhere, reward them somehow, and then talk about the lesson, what they learn in it, and how to deal with failure, because failure is an inevitable part of life. But if a child keeps getting bad grades in school and internalizes that they are no good at math, that's when it's time to get extra help. Anything you can add to this?
I'm a visual person, so I think the parting sentence, the image I would pass on to our listener is this. You imagine your kid is climbing a mountain. What is it you do so that your kid can get up next day, despite previous day's effort, whether it's successful or failure? Do that. Do that, whatever you take to build that kid so he or she can get up another day.
All right, that should wrap it up. We have more resources at our website, www.door2math with the number 2.com. And we have podcasts, YouTube videos, and we're on Facebook as Tucson Math Talk. Thank you very much, and until next time.
Happy parenting.